Hello everyone, I'm Penrost. Got a new banner here. Let's see what's on it, shall we? Pretty straightforward. That's Fodlan music. That's Fodlan music. That's a Fodlan character. We're not doing Engage then. It's another Three Houses banner. Say hello to Felix. There he is. Felix has been in the game before, but he was stuck in seasonal hell until now, so this is our first real Felix, especially since his other ult didn't even have like a PRF, so this is for Felix. Say hello to the Felix. He is a sword infantry unit, as was probably expected. His sword is the Lone Wolf. Accelerates special trigger, cooldown count -1. If unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25% at start of turn, grants the following effect to unit at start of turn, or if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25% at start of combat, grants the following effect to unit after combat. If unit's special cooldown count is at its maximum value, grants special cooldown count -2 to unit. If unit's special cooldown count is its maximum value -1, grants special cooldown count -1 to unit. Okay, so kind of a composite sort of special spiral slash times +4 kind of effect. At the start of the turn, you're getting up to 2 off your cooldown. After combat, you're getting up to 2 off your cooldown. That's of course only if you're at max cooldown or 1 under max cooldown. So ideally, you're wanting to do this with a 2 cooldown special, or well, a 3 cooldown special, since you've got slaying in the weapon. But yeah, if that's your special cooldown, then you're able to just instant charge and loop for free off that. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants attack speed, defense, res +5 to unit during combat, and reduces damage from attacks during combat and from area of effect specials by 30%. And also, if unit is not adjacent to an ally, inflicts attack speed, defense -5 on foe during combat. Okay, so the rest of the weapon's pretty straightforward. +5 to all stats. 30% damage reduction, unconditional, or well, 25% HP condition, but basically unconditional. A lot of damage reduction effects have like a speed check or a res check or something. No, this is just 30%, you get it. That's it. All the time. Not even like for foe's first attack, no, all the time, 30%. And then, interesting enough, the only like really actually conditional effect here, if he's solo, -5 attack speed defense on foe, which I mean makes sense, Lone Wolf, right? I would have expected like more of the unit's kit to actually be tied to the solo condition, but no, it is just that. Aside from that, like, Felix is a unit who is going to actually, funnily enough, work just fine ignoring that condition for the most part, and if you get it, it's a nice little bonus, but it's not like what your whole kit is built around. Now, I said that you could loop and pre-charge free cooldown specials. Well, look at this free cooldown special. Not just any free cooldown special, it's Godlike Reflex. It's been a while since this one came out, for those of you who don't remember what it does. It is a triggered by foe's attack damage reduction special, kind of like Aegis, Vis, Astucian, I forget what the fourth one is called. Those specials, right? It's a 40% reduction, right? It only triggers if you outspeed the foe, or roughly outspeed the foe, speed greater than or equal to foe's speed -4. But it also has an extra passive thing, kind of like how Vital Astra has its extra passive, where if you, on the same condition, your unit special is ready, or has triggered already, you also get 15% of your speed as damage, just always. So, kind of, if it's pre-charged, which it is, kind of giving the same sort of damage output as one of those speed-based PRF specials that quite a lot of units have, because you're getting 30% of your speed as damage across your 2 hits, right? Because you outspeed the opponent, and right? You got that? Good. Very powerful special, by the way, very powerful. If you're running a God Sword, which key God Sword material right here looks like a very fast unit, This kind of special, this, well, damage reduction special is really handy because one of the big weaknesses of God Swords, DR Piercing, this is a special damage reduction. Most DR Pierce ignores non-special damage reduction, but is still stopped by special damage reduction. Cool beans. Attack speed finish 4. Finish skills are great on any unit that can reliably have their special charged. Guess what Felix is literally the definition of right here, a unit who reliably has his special charged. So that's great for him. And again, with all the damage reduction he's got, right, all the damage reduction he's packing, the extra healing from the finish skill is going to mean a lot for him. If you think about it, damage reduction is basically multiplying how many hit points you have by a certain amount, and multiplying the effectiveness of any more hit points you gain as well. So healing 7 hit points, if you're sitting at like 50% damage reduction, you've kind of healed 14 hit points. Healing skill's really good with damage reduction, is what I'm trying to say. In the B slot, a new variation on skill, attack speed bulwark 3. This is, I think, pretty good on him. Again, since it's classic Godsword kit, you're probably going to be very tempted to put a green skill on here and just stack even more damage reduction, because that's what the kit's doing these days. But bulwark skills still have their niche. They're very good in these kinds of solo tank teams where you still want to run supports behind them, but you're worried about the classic issue with running supports behind your units, where the enemy team is just going to go around your tank and kill everything at the back instead. Bulwark skills do a really good job of stopping that. And again, they've got extra healing as well, so more synergy with his damage reduction. And his C slot, speed smoke 4, the smoke of choice for fast units these days. It's another source of dodge. You've got 40% from godlike reflexes, you've got 40% from the dodge status, you've got 30% from lone wolf, just always, and potentially you could get an extra 40 or 50% from the B slot as well if you want to swap that out. Felix is almost at Atelier tier when it comes to just speed and DR god swording. Not quite at Atelier tier, because Atelier has a higher speed, effective speed, due to being able to apply -12, and also has a bit more damage reduction, but maybe a bit more consistent than Atelier in other ways, because you've got the consistent finish healing, and you've got that protection from DR Shred due to godlike reflexes. So definitely one of the top god swords, I'd say. Especially, yeah, I mean, look at that, right? Interesting enough, it doesn't have null follow-up built in, but there's a lot of ways to offload that these days, so no worries there. And actually, looking at him, he's potentially really good fodder. You can, yeah, if you've got the finish 3, which I think is on young Rebecca, it was, wasn't it? That banner was really recent. I should be able to remember this, but I don't. Well, with finish 3, you can pick up finish 4, speed smoke 4, and godlike reflexes all very easily from one single inheritance. So look forward to that if you're a fodder fiend. Let's keep going. Are we going to get a cool Swordmaster animation like Myrmidon style? Well, there's godlike reflexes triggering. No, pretty simple sword slash, but that's fine. Next up, Rhea. Okay, so we are kind of going through all the units who are stuck in seasonal hell, huh? Rhea has her Fallen ult, of course, but this Rhea is an infantry dragon instead, armed with the Revealing Breath. It's a colorless breath, accelerates special trigger, cooldown count -1. If foe initiates combat or foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% at the start of combat, grants attack speed defense res +5 to unit. Unit makes guaranteed follow-up attack, inflicts special cooldown charge -1 on foe per attack, and reduces damage from foe's follow-up attack by 30% of units res during combat, plus the classic dragon adaptive damage. Okay, interesting weapon. Slaying +5 to all stats, very simple condition, guaranteed follow-up, guard, and then the interesting part, 30% flat res-based damage reduction. That's a lot more damage reduction than normal. I mean, like, Asker, that lot have 20%. On the other hand, this is only on the follow-up attack, so theoretically, right, you've got very, very big issue here where your upfront big damage nuke is gonna be a bit of an issue, but you follow-up attack, interesting. We have a new A-slot skill here as well, Attack Res Scowl 4. If foe initiates combat or foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% at start of combat, same condition as a weapon, grants attack res +7 to unit during combat, and also if foe's attack can trigger foe's special and unit's res is greater than or equal to foe's res +5 during combat, inflicts special cooldown count +1 on foe before foe's first attack. Okay, now I see the line. Your enemy phasing, right? Your enemy phasing, you get hit once. If they had a pre-charged special, no they don't due to the Scowl skill. It's the same discharge skill that we've seen on the Tikis, that we've seen on Juma, now as an inheritable. That's interesting, I'll talk about that in a moment. But you get hit once, you, well, hit them back. They hit you a second time, and if they have like a tempo or something to get through your guard, and their special that they're triggering is now coming in on that follow-up attack, always, which is for one where you've got either the big flat damage reduction. Yeah, I wonder who this is inheritable on. Judging by the icon, I'm guessing dragons, maybe beasts as well, but dragons seems like an obvious category. In which case, save dragons just got terrifying again. Like, I think if you want to run, for instance, fast save Fallen Rhea, she wants this A slot, right? Dragons have the option to run this kind of A slot because they have the dragon distant counter S slot. So this is giving you that instant special protection against your lethalities and your deadeyes and your spiral 4s that you really kind of want. And yeah, great. It does require a high res stat, it does require a res check, so not going to work against everything. Like I was about to say, I'm kind of worried people I built Spiral 4 instant special Arvel literally very recently for Aether Raids. I'm worried people are going to start out decharging it already, but Arvel's pretty good at winning res checks, so we'll see what happens. And in the B slot, True Dragon Wall. This is Rhea's PRF B slot. If unit's res is greater than foe's res, reduce damage from attacks during combat and area of effect specials, equal to difference between, by percentage equal to difference between stats times 6 for this unit's first combat in player phase and enemy phase, and times 4 for second combat or later. And if dragon or beast ally is on your team, restores 7 HP to unit at start of turn and after combat. Listen, damage reduction and flat damage reduction are one of the strongest combos in the game together, right? Because flat damage reduction multiplies by, it's applied after percentage damage reduction. So say they're dealing 100 damage, you reduce 60% of that down to 40, and then if you've got, like, say 10, 20 flat damage reduction, you probably could manage 20 actually, since it's 30% of unit's res, right? Now you're taking that 40 down to 20, right? You've gone from 100 to 20, which is ridiculous, right? That's the power of the combo, and even with 40%, it's still going to be a pretty absurd amount of flat damage reduction. It's just so strong to have these things together, and with that decharge effect on Scowl, you can actually rely on damage reduction, just regular damage reduction, a fair amount more than you could otherwise. So yeah, very strong looking combo there. Interested to see how this one turns out. She is of course an infantry unit, so she can't run and save herself, but still potentially immensely tanky, and be inheritable means a lot for all the other dragon saves out there. Let's keep going.
You have been judged.
Yep, big old glimmer. Next up, our demo, it is Sylvain. Okay, that's 3 for 3 on Seasonal Hell.
Strong, just say the word.
He is, of course, an ex-Cav. That's a 4-star kit. Who's the last unit going to be then? Is it going to be Ash? Maybe, what's his face? Painter guy. Ignatz? Interesting. Sylvain, armed with the Allied Axe, grants attack defense +4 to allies within 2 spaces during combat. If units within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack defense +4 to a unit during combat. We've seen this axe before. It's is it the Love Candelabra? It's Zealot's axe, right? It is, to be fair, one of the best axe support weapons for any axe-wielding unit that you're running entirely for their support skills, right? You don't care about their actual combat performance. You just want to maximize their slots for supporting their allies as much as possible. Well, this is pretty much the most support you're going to get out of a weapon, right? Very strong in that respect. Especially as Moonbow, A slot, attack defense catch free, which I guess is handy for inheriting catch skills, right? And there's catch skills, you can inherit them. They are good skills. But it's not something I'm particularly excited about, even though it is in the 4-star pool now. And in the C slot, Spur attack defense 2, which is not very exciting at all. Well, it's a good inheritable weapon, although it's a weapon you could already inherit. But I guess no grail cost is nice. But aside from that, Sylvain has successfully managed to be incredibly boring as a 4-star unit. Good job, Sylvain. Let's keep rolling.
Gonna need you to move.
And the last, rearmed hero. Not an ascendant, a rearmed. Interesting. We're going for an arcane weapon here. It is Ingrid. Okay. That's interesting. A Lance Flyer. We're getting a second arcane. Oh, this is Free Hope's Ingrid as well. A second arcane lance. Interesting. Especially since there's several weapon types that haven't had arcane weapons yet. We're doubling up on lances first. And here it is, the Arcane Luin. Accelerates special trigger, cooldown count -1 at start of combat. If the unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants attack speed defense res +5 to unit, deals damage equal to 20% of unit speed, including with specials triggered before combat, neutralizes foes' bonuses to speed defense during combat, and also unit speed is greater than foes' speed, neutralizes effects that guarantee foes' follow-up attacks, and effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks during combat. Okay, so interesting. This is kind of a glimpse into maybe the design philosophy for second arcane weapons in units categories, right? Because with the first arcane weapon of each type had that kind of restriction where it had to be kind of designed for everybody. Right? This is the arcane sword, this is the arcane axe, this is the arcane spear. So whatever unit you put it on, it kind of has to be at the very least functional. Now that there is an arcane lance for everyone though, with future arcane lances, they can go a bit more specialized, and specialized this one is. This is an arcane lance for fast units. Like all the other arcane weapons, slaying, +5 to all stats, but then the rest of the kit is speed-based. Speed-based true damage, low speed defense, and null follow-up. Hey, if you're fast, this is the arcane weapon for you. It's just like all the arcane weapons, except for the tome, which the red tome had like a really interesting special looping thing going on. But most of the arcane weapons have been just bundles of good effects, and this is no different. It's a bundle of good effects for fast units who want to be fast and do fast unit things. So yeah, good on you, Ingrid. The special, Luna. Oh yeah. In the A slot, looks like a PRF A slot, Knightly Devotion. Enables Canto, within +1. If it initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack speed defense res +8 to unit, and neutralizes unit's penalties after combat, and restores 7 hit points to unit after combat. Okay, so after each combat you get to unpenalty yourself. So I mean, normally you do that when you use an action anyway, but I'm guessing this is to specifically pick up things like smokes, for instance, that might have been applied in that sort of way. And it works on enemy phase as well. So long as you're within 2 spaces of an ally. The Canto is handy. +8 to all stats. It's a good A slot, right? B is Guard Bearing 4. Ooh. Inflicts speed defense -4 on foe during combat, reduces damage from attacks during combat, and from area effect specials by X%, which is during the first combat 60%, otherwise 30%. That is spicy. As with all the tier 4 B slot skills, this one they've added stats on it. Speed defense -4. It's competing pretty well with other things there. But now it's not stuck on enemy phase anymore. It's dual phase, Guard Bearing 4, which helps it a lot, honestly. Because for one thing, flyers, Guard Bearing of course flyer skill, flyers kind of struggled with enemy phasing just because they've got that specific flyer weakness to bows, and because they are kind of missing out on a lot of skills in general that other unit types have. So really there's only a handful of flyers who have good enemy phase built in, and that's generally because they have a specific PRF that enables it. Spring Maria, for instance. Spring Maria would work really well with this, by the way. And this is dual phase now, so you get damage reduction on offense and on defense. And the other thing that's nice about it is that it's always providing damage reduction. 60% the first time, 30% otherwise. That's for all attacks and for all combats. The other issue that old Guard Bearing had, so it was very easy to just ping off. If you had, if you were relying on it to survive a combat, and there were more than one unit that's in range of you, one unit can just ping off the Guard Bearing. Second unit, you're now fighting with a completely useless B slot. That is no longer the case. Guard Bearing 4, even after the first combat initiated by foe. Okay, so you only get the 60% on enemy phase, but in any case, yeah, during the first combat you're getting that 60%, but otherwise you're still getting 30%. Not bad at all. And in the C slot, speed, defense, hold. Yeah, go hold. Another speed defense debuff on the foe. Goes well with the lull in the weapon. Goes well with the stat reduction on Guard Bearing 4. Pretty sensible kit here for Ingrid. The kind of a dual phase fast brawler of a lance flyer. In terms of the kit, interestingly enough, I feel like her inheritance is actually worse than Felix, for instance, because, okay, the Arcane Lance is a really good pickup. The other inheritable skills she has are flyer locked. They're all flyer locked. Guard bearing 4, that's a flyer skill. Speed defense for hold, that's a flyer skill. So unless you're inheriting your Arcane Lance onto a Lance flyer, a fast Lance flyer, hopefully, you're not kind of getting the full brunt of the good old Rearmed unit super skill bonanza sort of thing. I mean, you can still use her to dupe skills, but with her base kit, not so much. So that's an interesting angle. But yeah, I think this is a good Arcane Lance, even though I really wanted to see an Arcane Dagger or an Arcane Staff, because those are some units that could really get it. Well, that's Ingrid. Yep, taking very little damage there. And good counterattack. That's your guard bearing coming in. Who is... Ooh, that's a new OC. No sign of the Grand Hero Battle unit. I'll have to check Twitter for that. Looks like it is... I'll pause here. Cornelia, or Cordelia. No, Cornelia. What's her face? You know the one. Her. So that's going to be cool. Yeah, quick rundown here. Honestly, I feel like Felix is the big pickup for this banner. Just because of great unit, great fodder, right? Rhea, non-fallen version. Kind of niche if you're using her for her own power. She kind of fills a similar role to the Tikis we've already got. On the other hand, if you've got strong dragon units already, and assuming my assumptions about her inheritance are correct, then that is a really big pickup for any of your dragon saves, for instance, that you're running. Ingrid has a very strong Rearmed Lance, is a decent unit in her own right, but kind of actually difficult to fodder off. So, and Sylvain, he really got the short end of the stick on this one. I'm gonna hold off on summoning for now. I'm going to hold off on summoning for now because there's a mythic banner coming up soon. You know me, you know how I feel about mythics. If this mythic is any good, I must obtain them. So we'll see how that goes. But let me know if you're going to roll for any of these units. I know there's a lot of Three Houses fans out there who've been waiting forever for these units to get something, and here they are. They're official, non-special versions. Say hello, let me know what you think. I'll see you all next time. Panros out.